Welcome back to Resilience by Faith podcast. I want to know, how are you? I noticed that I haven't really asked you that question. And if I have, it's been a while. Let me tell you, life has been out here lifing for your girl, and she has been learning so many things about herself. And that's what this podcast episode is going to be all about. If you are born in 94, this is a very scary year for us, but it doesn't have to be. But we're about to turn the big 3-0. And for those of you who were born a little bit later, you have a little bit more time, okay? Most of my friends are mostly very much so older than me. I like having older friends because they come with a lot of seasoning. And by seasoning, I mean wisdom and things that they have been through and things that have shifted their perspective, and they're growing and learning. And you always want to surround yourself with other people that you feel like you can also grow and learn from. Now, with that being said, I treat my social media the same way. I unfollow celebrities unless they're actually, going for a pertinent cause or something that I feel like I align with. But other than, things that bring me down or make me second guess myself or make me feel like I have to compare myself to other people, I have removed all that from social media for the most part. I still have maybe TikTok to go, but most of my TikTok, because I'm on Christian Talk, so a lot of my TikToks involve prayers and like people who have the gift of prophesying, which I'm very careful about. I have my discernment. I don't listen to everybody who prophesies certain things over my life or say that they heard something from the Lord and they haven't. My discernment is very high. And if I feel like I feel a shift on the inside tugging me, talking about no, they didn't, or they didn't, that word didn't come from me, I immediately remove them from my social media, because you got to be real careful with listening to everybody, because everybody isn't on the same team as you. This team is going for the kingdom, okay? At least I try to do a good representation of rooting for the kingdom. And with that being said, I know I'm hopping around here a little bit. I'm going to get to my point, but I'm going to hop off my point for a little bit that I'm trying to make and just say that I know that God hung out with a lot of people. God, meaning Jesus, the Son, hung out with a lot of people when he was here that other people didn't necessarily agree with hanging out with. They just was like, but you're him, which he very much so is, but also hanging out with other people that didn't align with the kingdom. Sometimes once in a while is needed to spread that information and that education about the kingdom. But also, if you're a true believer in knowing that other people can see the light in you, other people can see the God in you, other people can see how you move, maybe you're not meant to make them fully convert or to influence them directly, but indirectly, your light is bright enough how you carry yourself, how you treat people. God didn't say only hang out with Christians and only hang out with people who have the same faith as you. Yes, this is a faith-based podcast. No, I don't tolerate a whole bunch of foolishness. I know that there have been a couple of guests, and to my knowledge, there will continue to be a couple of guests on here that don't exactly line up with Christianity. Maybe they don't believe in anything. Maybe they consider themselves spiritual. Maybe they consider themselves agnostic. Maybe they consider themselves other things. But I don't go too crazy with it, because I know you can't allow everything on your platform, on your podcast. Very careful with what I listen to. But if I don't feel the discernment to not let a certain person on my podcast, they will be on the podcast. But they have listened to other episodes and they know where I am. And I know letting them be on my platform doesn't take anything away from me. And if my aura, if who I am in Christ has sowed of a small seed in them, maybe that's all that was needed. Maybe I did my part, but I know that I'm very much so in tune with me and who I am and what is very true to what I believe in. And yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up because I know a couple of people um, made some comments. A couple of guests made some comments that wasn't Jesus this or Jesus that, and maybe they are not a believer or a full-fledged believer, but maybe this is the start of something. You know, God works all things for the good, okay, together for the good of those who love him. And I love him very much, but maybe it's not my life that's being affected, but maybe their life. And you never know where people are in their journey. And it always starts off, I'm not a believer or I'm in this place right now, but over the course of time, it evolves into something else. So I'm here to say, no, I don't let every and anything on the show, but I am open to other people who are may or may not be a full-fledged believer, but they do acknowledge God, and they consider themselves spiritual. I'm okay with that because it's not my job to convert people and make them believe and blah blah blah. But you actually push people away from following Christ because they believe, oh, well, that's a clear indication why I don't go to church now, because this is how Christians behave. You have to be very careful with that when you're representing God, because everything that Jesus stood for, which is the Son, he hung out with people that he wasn't supposed to. He broke bread with people he wasn't supposed to. And the influence that he had and the impact that he had on their lives changed them forever. And he never once said, yeah, I'm Jesus Christ, follow me. He might have said that to a couple of people, like, follow me, but he never fully came out and said, yeah, I'm Jesus, I'm for the kingdom, I'm almighty powerful, da da da. He never once came off self-righteous while he walked this earth, and he never once flaunted who he was. He knew who he was, and that was enough. Whether it took people a long time to figure out who he is or not, that was on them. But eventually, when all was said and done, they knew who Jesus was, and they knew the impact that he had, and they knew how he carried himself, and that was enough to speak for him. Okay? Now, with that long rant completed, I am learning as I'm getting close to 30 that it's not as big of a deal as what I thought it was. My perspective is shifting. I have put a clear emphasis on getting to know myself. Yes, I am, my name, I'm Reese. I did these things, but I am not my accomplishments. I'm so much more than my accomplishments. And I have learned that I don't know who I am necessarily per se without stating some form of accomplishment. I have noticed that over these last 2 decades, and yes, I say 2 decades because now I'm about to enter into decade number 3, that I have allowed my identity to surround my accomplishments instead of who I am. And I have taken this time to really reflect. Of course, I'm in therapy and they're also helping me go through it as well. But everything that I let into my circle, everything that I see on social media, now that I have purged my social media, everything that I let around me, the people that I converse with, everything is sending me a clear message. And I don't know if y'all are getting it too, if y'all are peeping it too. Maybe you're on a self-love, self-care journey and finally starting to see what that encompasses. And maybe you're not. Maybe you think you are on a self-love journey, but don't really know what that looks like for you. Maybe you're still on it's the spa and bubble bath phase, but I'm on it's the boundaries and it's so much deeper phase. And I wanted to get on the mic and share that with you. I had a guest that was actually supposed to be on the show. I'm praying for them now. I hope they are okay, but due to unforeseen circumstances, they cannot hop on the show today. And God laid this on my heart because I was about to hop in my car and go to Target because the girls love Target. It's a Saturday, the sun is shining bright. I can put the top back on my car. It's so many things that need to be done around the house, but God was just like, no, you're still going to record today, and this is what I want you to talk about. And so it's not about me, and I pray that in this moment God takes me out of it and that he uses me on this platform to say what it is that I need to say, even if it's only for one person. Even if the person listening seems to be where they are, because God is all omniscient. You know that, like he knows everybody's life, where they are, what stage of life they're in. And I really want to speak to whoever he has me to speak to today. And so I pray that over this podcast. I pray that we cut out all the foolishness and there's nothing left but him, and that he's using me as a vessel to speak in this microphone to say what it is that you need to hear. So without further ado, I'll start from the beginning. Last year, when I was 28 and my 29th birthday came, it hit me probably, I would say, around Christmas time in December or early January, that this was my last year of my 20s, and that it was a clear wake-up call. Like somebody came down, scooped down and slapped me in the back of the head, and they were like, it's your last year in your 20s. What are you going to do? And instantly the panic came, and I was just like, I'm going forth in life. Whether I choose to go forth or not, I can either get on this train or be left behind. And mentally, I had to make a decision that I was not going to be left behind, that I was going to get on the train with myself and be a part of this journey and not just be passive about it. Like, I know there's a lot of people in the world that don't even celebrate their birthday, and it's not really a big deal to them. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. It's another year, it's another day. I'm not really impressed. I'm getting older like the rest of the world, and they choose to stay the same. I chose to, number one, I felt a big emphasis in January that this 2024 was going to be the year of boundaries and self-care. I don't know if you guys got that message, but all around me, that was it. We're going to take care of ourselves in 2024. It's not going to be all about reaching certain heights and on the outside, externally, for other people to see and praise us, but it's definitely going to be about bettering ourselves, learning about ourselves, not tolerating a lot of things, and really caring for ourselves in such a way that we have never cared for ourselves before. I just didn't know what exactly that was going to look like. Okay. Back then, I was in my bubble bath spa day. I was in that, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to purchase this material thing and I'm going to do that. And that is going to enhance my life, when all along, what I needed to do was create that intimacy with God and stop playing it superficial. So that was the first layer of it. That my help comes from the hills, yes, but it comes from internal. The Holy Spirit lives within me, and my body is a temple. And when I started really thinking of myself in that way, I started taking care of my physical health. I started, making sure that I work out, making sure I get workout plans, making sure if I need a trainer, we go that route, making sure that, yeah, let's get in with the nutritionist and all that. But that really didn't come into play until maybe within the last 2 or 3 months. In the very beginning of the year, I was going through the last tail end of the Job season. Okay. And I say Job season lightly. I don't want to say, oh, yeah, that was my flat out Job season. Because, if you read the book of Job, all the things that he had to endure, and all the friends who gave him misinformation and tried to make him feel like, he was in a place where he had been disobedient to God, which in a way he was, but it was a bigger picture to the story. And I didn't know that God was using that area and that time in my life to get me to build the start of what I didn't know was going to be intimacy with Him, the building block of my faith. I thought I had faith, but it's nothing compared to what I have now. I think in the beginning, it's like, well, we're going to fake it till we make it. We're going to try our best to do what we think faith looks like on the outside to show the world that we have faith. We're going to, be outward with it and do and say these certain things. But I feel like we got real at the beginning of 2024. And we literally dig deep, and we just didn't know that that was the beginning of this relationship, a real relationship with Yahweh. And I even got to the point where now I'm calling him Yahweh. It's not just God. It's not just Abba. It's not just, the Lord of Lords, the bright and morning star. Yes, the beginning and the end. He is all these things. But I think it's something to be said when you can call him Dad, and it's not just God first. And it's something to say when you dig so deep, you can call him Yahweh, because no other God is called Yahweh. A lot of gods are called gods, but there's only one Yahweh. And there's only one Lord of Lords. There's plenty of names he goes by, but now I'm on this kick where I'm just like Yahweh. That's how I address him right now. And before I would have never, you know, I felt like, yeah, God, like stay in your lane. You don't know him like that. But I feel like I know him now differently. And I see him differently than what I have ever seen him before. The things that he has done from in my life, the things that he has protected me from, the things that he tell me about myself, the things how he spends time with me, how he shows up in my life is something I couldn't even pay gold for. Um, and I'm mighty thankful. So that was January. Okay. He repositioned, pivot, and let me know that my help and what I have does not come from a job or income or money. It comes straight from him. He is the only thing that has kept me afloat during that time. After that time passed and God was like, okay, now that you know that it's not your job that provides for you, it's me. Now you can have a job. I was like, okay, so we're starting here, but I can't help but say that I didn't feel like I had a bit of PTSD a little bit, because I was just like, are you going to do it again? Are you going to teach me a lesson again? And I'm pretty sure life is all about learning lessons, but I just felt like, oh my God, can I come out now? Can I go back to what I thought was normal? But little did I know I will never go back to what I thought is normal, because just encounters with God radically shake and change and pivot your life. I do not look at an employer the same way I once did. I do not look at a situation the same way I once did. I can't take it at face value like you can't take the Bible at face value. Every time you read the word, you learn something new because it's living. It's the same thing with life. Like I can't now just look at life at face value. There's a reason why you met that person. It's a reason why you're in the place you are now. It's a reason why that had to happen. It's a reason why you had to lose that person, whether it was death or just lose them out their life. It was something in you that had to grow, and now I know that. Fast forward to February, I was getting into the groove of things, but again, I'm realizing I only have a couple of more months until my birthday. I'm a September baby, and I'm just like, okay, what are you going to do for your birthday? You need to plan a dinner. You need to plan some sort of celebration for yourself to celebrate this milestone birthday. And I just I always go out the country because I always felt like planning things for other people to enjoy on your day is a bit what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you're celebrating the other person because you're spending all this money, you're renting a place, you're renting a DJ, you're buying an outfit for yourself, you're paying for a cake, you're doing all these things to benefit the people who are attending the celebration. And that's fine if they even show up. Because I learned at a very early age, I had a birthday party and I invited so many people and they did not show up. And I just felt like, well, I'm going to pour internally. I'm going to do something that I want to do. I want to go somewhere that I want to go. And I've always done that. Now turning 30, I'm just like, I need to have a celebration. I need to invite all the people that I know that are key players in my life, because I'm not in kindergarten anymore, right? So I can try this again. But I feel like the most important thing that you can do for turning 30 or embarking on this new, because I feel like I'm embarking not on a new chapter, on a new book. I feel like we just need to start from scratch all over again. The best thing you can do is connect, of course, number one, with Yahweh, because I talked about that first, because he comes first. But then the second thing you need to do is fully understand the being that you are. I have learned that trying to implement boundaries and all this other stuff, that's important. But I feel like that comes after learning who you are. And that comes after establishing self-love. But you can only establish self-love in your healing process. And I feel like if you don't heal the parts of you that was hurt, then you really can't love the traumatized part of you, because you don't fully understand or see who you are. Everybody else around you, for the most part, think of you as this human being that is in another place because they can see it than where they are, and they look up to you and they love you and they adore you. And the traumatized parts of you will try to downplay yourself and never see yourself in that light. So I would say, yes, healing is a journey, and no, you can't just wake up one day and say, I'm a heal, and then after that day you're healed and never go through anything again. No, it's a journey. So I think I would say make 30 more about reflecting on your last 2 decades of life, okay? And even regardless of what, I mean, if I have any older people listening, I know there are some people that are just like, well, your first decade of life really wasn't all that. But there are people who been through things within the first decade of life that could have been traumatizing to them, that they do need to reflect on, acknowledge, and heal from. Just like turning 20 and that whole decade can be something. I don't think you should discount the first year of your life. That's why I say reflect over both decades of your life and really write down, look at the things that you've done, the things that were good and the things that were bad, and the things where you just felt lost and you're just like, okay, I'm about to turn into a new decade of life. What do I want this decade to look like? And why do I want it to look that way? You know? I just feel like it's very timely, but very important to just say, cut the crap. Okay, excuse my language, but just cut the crap. Okay. Let's get down to the real deep depths of who you are and why you want to do certain things. I was met with a question that I couldn't answer. And the question was, and this was like a month or so ago. The question was, who are you? I couldn't answer that question at all. Like, who am I, without saying something that I've accomplished or a location or a person? Just who are you, with taking away all the things? And I couldn't answer that question. And truth be told, I am still working on the answer to that question, because it just baffled me, because you go throughout life day in and day out thinking that you know who you are, because you're you. You spend the most time with you. You don't have any objections to you. You're like, who knows me better than me? And it's sad to say that I don't know who I am without naming something that I've accomplished, or without naming a person, or without naming a location, or something, maybe not an accomplishment, but something that I've done, because I've let all these things define me. I think that is the biggest gift to yourself, is being able to say who you are. The biggest gift to yourself is actually tapping into the person that God created. not just tapping in, but actually knowing your purpose here. As you can imagine, you're probably not going to accomplish all of these things and get all these answers before you turn 30, but at least you can start rolling the ball. And the whole point of this episode is just to let you know that 30 is so much more than a timeline. 30 is so much more than a date, a time on the clock. 30 is so much more than what you think it is in your head, in your reality. You are holding yourself to an unrealistic timeline and to unrealistic reality, so to speak. It is what it is, and that you can't have all. It's okay if you don't have all the answers in a couple of months. September is not that far away for me. And I am noticing that, oh my God, I haven't booked this big extravagant trip. Oh my God, I haven't ordered my cake, or I don't even know what I want my cake to look like. And oh my God, like I gotta go back through all the people I sent invites to and see if there's any more people I want to invite to the celebration. I feel like if I just have my mom and my brother come, that's all I need. I feel like at this point, and I've already started to pivot, that all of that don't mean nothing. It really don't. Spending the money, having the extravagant dinner, to be able to take pictures with a lot of people who are there to celebrate you, because it gives you this false sense of importance. Um, I have noticed that I am not important at all. What is important is Yahweh and my relationship with Him. What is important is my relationship with myself. And what is important is knowing who I am in this world, where I stand, what my position is in this world. And it's not what I have accomplished. It is not what I have yet to do, or maybe it is what I have yet to do. My purpose, my whole reason for being orchestrated in the womb from the very beginning. And when you connect with that, your life will flow so much easier. Your vision will be so much clearer, and all this other stuff will not matter. And maybe you're listening to this and maybe you don't struggle with anything. Maybe you know who you are. You've been done the work. You've connected to yourself. You've healed with whatever you need to heal from. And you have good relationships and you put up good boundaries. And maybe this podcast episode wasn't for you. But for whoever it is for, who is listening and just saying, hey, yeah, this is exactly what I'm going through, and this is exactly the revelation I needed, and this helped me take so much pressure off of myself. It's okay. Life is still going to continue at the pace it is continuing at. The good news is that maybe this episode was the start of waking you up and letting you know that life is so much more, and that maybe we need to pivot deeper. Maybe the intimacy needs to come up a little bit more, and now you're aware of it. And maybe I just need to work on my awareness of self, and then relationship with self. Maybe before we get to self-love. Yeah, because self-love will come as a byproduct of the awareness and the relationship with yourself. It is a process. And it is unrealistic to think that I will reach the pinnacle that I want to reach in a couple months, because things take time. Because everything didn't happen to me in a couple months. Everything didn't happen to you in a couple months. Everything happened over time, and these blocks just built up and built up until now we're here. Healing is going to be the same. Getting to know yourself is going to be the same. And if you are a believer of Christ, and if you know Yahweh, you know He don't be in no rush. If you know Yahweh, you know that you really have to be in tuned, and He don't really deal with a lot of superficial. He can use all things together for the good of those who love Him, and even your superficialness. But if you really want answers and you really want to connect with him, because in him you find who you are. The only way that's going to happen is being open, honest, and transparent, spending time with him, but honestly, having the right heart posture, because he can know what your intent is. You can't fool the creator. And actually coming to him, just putting it all at his feet, bearing nothing, and just being honest and open and cutting the crap with him. I feel like that's only when you're truly going to start your journey with Yahweh. And if you need to go to therapy, you definitely can. There's a website called Psychology Today where you type in your zip code no matter where you are in the United States, and it'll bring up everybody. If you just want virtual, then according to your insurance, that will open up the whole state for you. And you can filter by insurance. And if you don't have insurance, go for therapists who have sliding scale and who work with people. But because there are really some therapists out here and some psychologists out here that want to help people. Yes, that is their job and they have to make money, but honestly, there are some people who are a little bit more lenient because their heart is in it and they don't really put too much weight on the money. They care more about helping people, and that is their sole purpose, and that's why they went to school. So I would just say check out Psychology Today, and if all else fails, call your insurance company and see who's in network. But I'm telling you, this year is the year of pivot. This year is the year of awakening to me. This year is the year of, yes, self-love and everything, but people seem to skip over the part that you have to, the work that you have to do to get to the point where you can love yourself. For those out there who have PTSD and been through things in their life, there is an awakening and there is a process that has to take place before you can even get to the point of loving yourself. And like I said, I prayed before I opened my mouth with you guys on this microphone to make sure that this episode would hit whoever it needs to hit. And I pray that I have done that. And I pray that your ears were open to receiving the words that came out of my mouth, because half the things that I have said, I didn't even plan to say. I did this podcast with no notes, no preparation. I did what God wanted me to do. And He wanted me to open my mouth because there are people probably going through the same struggles that I'm going through and learning the same things, or maybe they want to and they desire to, but don't know where to start. And I feel like this podcast episode was for you. It's been a minute since I've actually came on here and I didn't have a plan and I just opened my mouth and spoke. And I feel like this episode was for you, whoever you are, wherever you are in the world. Know you're not alone, and know that you will get to the pinnacles you plan to reach, but it's a process. And this is the start of the process. So I'm going to let you go. I'm not going to take up any more time. Thank you guys for listening. Please make sure you follow us on Facebook at Resilience by Faith Podcast with Reese. If you can't find us there, you can always find us on Instagram at ResiliencexFaith. POD. Send us a DM, hop in our DMs, go back and listen to prior episodes, because the next episode you hear will be right back into the mom series. But I had to come and interrupt this timely message. I mean, it is Memorial Day weekend, and I was going to just interview another mom and publish another episode tomorrow, continuing that series. And it is an important series, and I am having a blast. Okay. And I have very good episodes coming up for you, but I just feel like being real and coming on here and talking to you guys, and especially when God tell me to do something, I try my best to be obedient, and I pray that I've done that. And I delivered the timely message that I had to deliver. So I'm going to interrupt our mom series just to go ahead and publish this podcast. For me, it's tomorrow. For you guys, it will be the day you're listening to it, will be Memorial Day. But I definitely feel like it was needed. So I interrupted everything because that's how Yahweh do. That's how He wanted it. And so this podcast will be coming up on Memorial Day. And I pray that it has touched your soul in some way. And as always, we'll be back with another episode in 2 more weeks. I look forward to blessing you guys and speaking to you guys in all the ways, because every podcast and every interview that I do, I get something from it. So I know you guys are benefiting from it. As always, leave your feedback in the comments, and I will see you guys later.